Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com. Welcome to our 2026 ski test. Got a brand new ski here for you, and it's a pretty exciting one. This is the Volkl Revolt 101. This one really caught us by surprise this season, and I would say just about everybody that gets on it shares a little bit of that surprise. It's a really high-performing ski, which, you know, when you look at the Revolt line, there's a lot of twin tips, there's a lot of park application, a lot of them are very soft flexing and playful, and this is a little bit of an outlier. So essentially, the 101 and the 114 share very similar characteristics, and they are quite different than every other Revolt ski. And it's kind of interesting because if you go from, say, 96 and go up incrementally in width, it's like playful and soft flexing in the 96, 101 is stiff and aggressive, 104 is playful and soft flexing, 114 is stiff and aggressive, 121 is playful and soft flexing. So it's a little bit maybe counterintuitive. I just think it's important for people to understand that. So if anything, I think the best way to describe this Revolt 101 is that it's kind of like a mini big mountain ski. A lot of the things that we've been talking about, and a good way to think about it is, like, if you have that kind of big mountain free ride mentality, but maybe you live here on the East Coast, or maybe you want a ski that'll work on the West Coast when you have those kind of low tide, lower snow days, this ski is awesome for that, and it absolutely charges. So just a pretty simple build, which is true across the entire Revolt line. So multi-layer wood core, fiberglass, epoxy, sandwich construction, press it all together, here's your ski. What's interesting in really all the Revolts, but I'd say really noticeable in this ski is the core thickness. So they play around with core thickness a lot, and this ski is, you know, it's pretty normal thickness here underfoot. If you put it next to the Revolt 96, I bet they're about the same. But here, when you get into the extremities, it stays really thick. And what happens is that makes this ski pretty darn stiff. So it's like I said, if you're just kind of looking at it as a Revolt ski, you might not expect it to be this stiff, and it's pretty wild. So keep that in mind. It's not light. I would say it actually skis a little bit lighter than its weight on paper. I believe we've got the 180 here, 182, excuse me, and it's just about 2,100 grams, 2,088 grams on our scale here. So pretty stiff and pretty hefty. But when you ski it, it does feel a little bit more agile. It doesn't feel necessarily like a ski that's 2,100 grams. And then looking at shape here, shape is super important in this ski. So it is extremely long tip and tail rocker. So tip rocker starts about where my hand is, about right here. Similar in the tail, very, very long tail rocker, but there's not much splay. So you retain pretty darn long effective edge or edge contact on different snow conditions. And I think that's important for this ski's performance. But they do some really cool stuff with kind of the taper shaping. Not just early taper. You know, we do get a little bit of early taper up here in the shovel, as well as the tail. Actually, the tail's kind of like that pintail style finish and very tapered. But the other thing that's interesting is the difference, or the overall taper from tip width to tail width. So much wider up here in the shovel than we get down in the tail. It's 133, 101, 115. So an 18 millimeter difference between tip width and tail width. And that does a few things. It does give this ski a little bit more agility than you would get otherwise. If they made this tip, or this tail, excuse me, wider and made it this stiff, it would feel like a real handful behind you. You know, it'd be tough to kind of get that swinging finish to a non-carved turn. So just really cool how they do that. And it also improves this ski's overall feel when the snow gets a little softer, because what happens is the tip wants to plane out, and then the tail allows you to sink a little bit, or rather the tail is willing to sink a little bit, which means that your tip is going to rise up a little more. It doesn't feel like it's diving or dolphining or anything like that, or porpoising, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, just a really cool ski. It's pretty unbelievable how well it carves. Like, big mountain ski or mini big mountain ski, it's not necessarily designed for like carving pretty round turns on a groomer, but it does it like so well. It's pretty crazy. I will say you have to ski it pretty hard. I don't know that I would ever really recommend this ski for an intermediate, because it prefers speed, and it prefers somebody who's willing to drive it pretty aggressively. That is also true when you take it off trail. So, if you're skiing this thing in tight trees, you're going to have to work a little bit. And for some skiers, that's fine. If you're strong and you have really good technique, you might absolutely love it. If you're more intermediate level, or you're just getting your feet wet skiing trees and more technical terrain, I might say a ski like the Revolt 104 would be more beneficial for you. More rocker, more splay, and a softer flex. It's going to be a little bit easier to manipulate in situations like that. But really cool. We had a ton of people test it. I don't remember exactly. I want to say like 11 different people tested it at our ski test, and then we skied it a ton throughout the season. And it's really, really cool to see. I don't think we got a single overall impression score under an 8, which is like wild and truly impressive to see. And it's really cool. They made a really, really good ski here. It is, I will say, not for everybody, but so far it's tough to find people that don't really like it. One kind of piece of feedback that stood out to me was Kevin, who manages our shop down in Killington, and he loved it. And he said something along the lines of, you can ski it really, really fast and aggressively, but you can also slarve and surf around on it. And that's something that I found too. And it's just really fun. As somebody with a park background in the Revolt line, this probably wouldn't be my first choice. I'm kind of gravitating to the more twin tippy shapes, but it's super cool to see. And I'm really glad that they gave the Revolt 114 kind of like a little brother, like a little bit of a complementing ski, because I think it makes the existence of the 114 just make a little bit more sense. So that's it. Really cool new ski. Good job, Volkl. Let us know if you have any questions about it, and we will see you out there on the slopes.